Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Did you tell me? Oh, I put that for the rest of the year. I'll go do this. I'll go do this.
Okay, welcome back. Can everybody hear me in the back? Everybody hear me in the back? You're okay? Okay. I don't have a podium either, so so much for the setups. Any questions from last time? I know we have a couple review problems that'll probably get us warmed up. And again, sorry for the temperature in the room either. So, let's not forget next week we only meet once. We just meet on Monday. So I'm going to introduce topic 6 today, and then if you notice that clock is one time, that clock's another, and that clock in the back is another time. Anyway, I'm just laughing at myself. We're just going to meet on Monday, and then we don't meet Wednesday, and we don't meet Friday. I don't know how you guys are going to survive with just one class a week. But to the extent, excuse me, I don't think we're going to get past topic 5 on Monday, because it's a pretty big topic if you haven't noticed. So, if somehow we do, I will merely introduce 6, but don't worry about it. Okay, so just make sure you're completely up to date on topic 5. Okay, what I want to do is we got a couple last problems we didn't finish on the whole descendants question. I'm going to turn the lights back on just for a minute so I can write. We went through problem 1, am I correct, last time? On page 9091? Yes, no, maybe so?
Yeah, we did.
Yep, okay. So we didn't do problem 2, right?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I thought. Well, let's refresh our memory of where we're at, okay? I don't even know if I have an eraser here. Doesn't appear. I just gotta laugh. I don't even have an eraser. Okay. I just didn't think it was going to be this difficult. Okay, well, we'll do what we can, and then we'll call it a day, I guess. I don't know. Okay. Best laid efforts. Here's where we're at on problem 2. Okay? Oop, that should be an I. I is alive. Same facts as problem 1. Okay? So we're looking at, I know for those of you in the back it's a little hard to see. We're looking at A leaving behind 3 children, B and C, who both have left heirs themselves, and then also with problem 2, we have another child, Z. And then if we go down to C's 2 children, which are E and F, which we had from last time, E has also predeceased and has 2 children of his or her own, which is G and H. Okay? Again, Z, all 3 children of A have predeceased A. Okay? So in some ways, this is going to be an exact review of where we were last time, except that we've added I in, but that's not going to really matter. Okay? The only good thing they did do was leave me different colored markers. Wow. Okay, that's exciting. Let's see if they work. So if we did English, okay, English says, look at the first generation, regardless of if they're dead or alive. Okay? And even if they've all predeceased, if they've left heirs, divide up the estate with those with living heirs, and then let it trickle down. Okay? So under English, we have B getting a half share and C getting a half share because they've left heirs. So B's half would go down to D. Okay? C's 1/2 would go to E and F, but E is already predeceased, so E's 1/4, which is a half of a half, right? E's 1/4 goes down to E's 2 children. They each get 1/8, which is a half of a fourth. Okay? I think this is fairly much a review of what we looked at last time. Okay? The fact that F has a living heir is irrelevant, right? If you have someone in the generation above who's living, they don't get to pass, nothing goes to their living issue, right? So F is going to keep it, I doesn't take because F's alive. Okay? Under all three intestacy schemes, when a line dies out, it's going to be completely ignored, at least for who gets the shares, right? Now let's go back and look at what modern would do, okay? Modern would say, okay, skip over B and C because we have no one living in that generation, or Z. And you go to the first generation where someone's alive or has living heirs. That's D, E, and F, okay? In that case, D, E, and F would each take a third. So D gets a third, F gets a third, and then E's 1/3 goes down to G and H, okay? And a half of a third is a sixth. Yes. Right, clear on that. Very good. And then, of course, we have the UPC version. Okay? UPC is going to be exactly like modern. We're going to go to the first generation where there is a living person and then divide it up between those who are living and those who have predeceased but yet have left heirs of their own. So again, in that situation, we would assign a third to D, E, and F, but E's 1/3 is going to go to the next generation. Now, what would happen here? Let me just under the UPC per capita with representation, F and D would get the exact same share. Okay. Now, what UPC says is, okay, any undistributed share at this level because someone's predeceased, or shares, take them, combine them, and then divide them equally at the next generation. Provided, of course, the next generation whose parents haven't already taken. So really, with UPC, we're going to come out in the exact same place because we still can't give anything to, sorry for the lowness, we still can't give anything to I because I's parent F has taken. Okay? Okay. Any questions on that? What if, let me just add one more wrinkle. What if F also predeceased? E and F have predeceased. Okay? Well, under the modern, it'd be the same answer, except F's share would pass down to I. Okay? Under UPC, you take E's 1/3, you take F's 1/3, so 2/3, and then you go to the next generation, G, H, and I, all of which haven't received anything because their parents are predeceased, and divide that 2/3 equally amongst the three of them, which would be 2/9 fractions. So what you see is that a little bit of difference then. UPC would say treat G, H, and I exactly the same, where modern would not necessarily give them the same, right? Under modern, if F predeceased, I would take a third, and we would really come out with the same result for G and H. They get a sixth, and the UPC says, well, that's not fair. They're the same generation to get the same share. That would be the only difference. If that makes sense to everybody. Okay. We have one more follow-up question. Problem 2. Our testator dies testate, okay, with the will, survived by 2 siblings, A and B, and 2 nephews, both B's children, X and Y. And T's will says, and I think we may have talked about this question yesterday. On Wednesday. Jeez, you got me. I disinherit my brother B. Okay, so let's draw it out. So we have T, and then we almost kind of got to draw them lateral because they're siblings. Okay, T has 2 siblings, A and B, and B predeceases. No, A and B have both lived, but in the will, okay, we have B being disowned or saying, I want nothing to be left to B. Okay? So in that situation, and B's children are X and Y, the question is this. If we cut out B here, right, so that B gets nothing, what happens to B's, basically, half share? Okay? Assuming that that was the intent originally of T was to divide his estate equally between his 2 siblings. Okay? The problem asks you to look at estate of Samuelson. Again, I always kind of poll students. Some people actually look at a case when it's named in a problem. Anybody look at the case? Okay, fair enough. I never used to either. Okay, so common law. Common law was, with no spouse, descendants, or parents, we know that siblings will take. We're going to look at that a little bit more next week, okay, or the week thereafter. Thus, A and B would get the entire estate. If B is disinherited, okay, then B is treated as having predeceased T. And states are going to vary, okay? Some states, although not many, are going to say, if you disinherit B, everything goes to A. But other states, and the UPC's approach, is that if B is treated as predeceasing, right, because, in effect, you've taken him out of the will, his share can pass to X and Y. So that's what the Samuelson case talks about, okay? Because T did not say, I also want to disinherit my nieces and nephews, they're just going to disinherit B, treat B as predeceasing, and let B's share, the half, go down to X and Y. That's the UPC approach. And why is that the UPC approach? Because if we treat T as predeceasing under the state law, right, then we have a partial intestacy. And the intestate laws would say that your siblings, as we're going to look at, siblings will take per stirpes as well, meaning if one of them predeceases you, their children step into their share. Okay, questions on that? We're going to talk a little bit more about that when we get to topic 6 and look at collaterals, which is, remember, we focused on surviving spouses and children pretty much up to this point. Okay, we're going to continue with children, and then we're going to pick up and look at siblings, and what we call collaterals, siblings, nieces, nephews, cousins, etc. Any questions? Okay. That's it on the per stirpes issue. Okay? So let's move on to children. Yeah.
When you were doing the UPC example where F would predecease and D, H, and I would all get 2 nines, where did the 2 nines come from? I was just confused.
Oh, okay. So maybe the easiest way is to take another marker. Let's see if this works. Let's take F out. Not take them out, but take them out of the equation, right?
So
okay.
You go to the first line like you do.
Right. So in that situation, under modern, all this stays the same, right? Modern,